Okay, here's the reading for the week of September 19th, 2021. I'm sorry that I did not do it last week, but my dog, Butchie, ate all my angel cards. I did some readings and he ate them, so I don't know why. But so we're going to use Colette Baron Reid's today, Wisdom of the Oracle. And I'd be interested to hear from people how they've enjoyed the readings, as well as if they've proved to be, if they've resonated with you, if you've been trying it on your own, like on a daily or weekly basis. I mean, the spread I'm doing is not mine alone. It is actually Colette Baron Reid's, but it's a good one for general overall for everyone, but there's no reason you yourself can't do readings just like I'm doing and interpret the cards. And so today what I thought I would do is, instead of spending a lot of time just doing the reading, each time I'll kind of explain the cards so you know. Okay, so what I first do is I just breathe in a few times to cleanse my head, to kind of settle in. Then breathe in a few more times into my heart space to open it. Breathe in a few more times into my upper abs, which is our centering, to center myself. And then I breathe in a few more times, visualizing my breath going out my spine into the ground to ground me. And then after I'm done, and I feel more relaxed, I'm no longer thinking about family, friends, work, my to-do list. I am just in the present moment. I feel a sense of calm. And at that point, I give my intent, which is just for my guides, oracles, God, Jesus, ascended masters, my higher self, angels, to present the highest and best truth that I'm ready for now. Because a lot of times what we're ready for, what we want, we're not ready for. So I say, end of the highest and purest light. So I know it's well intended. So then I pick out, doesn't matter, my first card. And my first card today is the present situation, where we are now. And it says we're between worlds, which does not surprise me. You'll see gray, which is kind of foggy, right? I don't have the answers. And more of a greenish blue, which is heart. And what this card's telling us is we are between two worlds. The headspace, which is kind of foggy. We're feeling, I hear some people saying they're overwhelmed. The way that they have been doing things, they're just not getting the same results, or they're going around in circles. The data, the logic, the options, the strategy, and that's because we have one foot in that and the other place, and it feels kind of foggy, and it also feels kind of constrictive. But we kind of like this other place we're living, which feels more expanded, heart space, like intuitive, green is heart and flow. So just think of this pelican or ostrich. He has one foot in the one world and one foot in the other. And it's just saying we're in this transition of leaving this gray, all logic, option world to get into more the place where we make decisions, not from this logic and data, but from this heart space, expansive place. And that's what, and it's, you can see it's a lighter green, not a deep green, but almost like a sea green. And the reason I'm seeing that is because sea green, what does the sea represent? Flow. So it's more ease, it's more clear. It's just, we go more from a place of less, from resistance to flow. And we're learning how to do this. That's why we're between two worlds. And again, what we're ready for. We're not ready to go all the way over here. We feel very discomfortable and maybe don't even know what our heart space feels like. And if we're very doubtful, we're here, we're more secure. So we're just practicing. And so the present moment, or our present, is we're practicing more, making decisions from that expansive heart space than from this logic, data-driven space. So that's today's card. And so when I look at my first card, I look at colors. Of course, I read the word between worlds. And I kind of interpret by the colors. Gray, and you see the clouds, I think, and just think of what it means to me. I don't have to look it up. It just means foggy. It's not all black and white, right? It's kind of gray. I feel overwhelmed. I'm not sure about my decisions. My decisions don't seem to be getting me the same outcomes. I know this feels green. I know green means heart, but it's not dark green. So I know it means more of a flow, like a sea green, sea foam green. That's where we are right now, or this week. We're still learning that. And like I said, we're not ready to go. Would feel very uncertain if we were doing here all the time, making decisions from the heart space. We're just doing it, taking baby steps. Remember, the universe is all about baby steps, because to them, there really is no time of past, present, and future or deadline. It's that you get it done at the end. You get the knowledge at the end and the growth at the end. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And also what you'll see on here is when we get into that heart space, what do you see above? A crown. It's like you've manifested that. You will feel your sovereignty, who you are, and it's all about being who we are. And I feel like when I go out now, the energy of people that are in this gray space, that I feel like they're telling me what I want to hear and what they want me to see about them, and what, that they're the smartest, wisest in the room. But I almost feel like there's this this static between me and them, because I'm not really knowing them. I see no clarity. It's like, and I'm not going to say they're fakers. It's just that they are so busy trying to tell me all about them and how special they are or how unique they are. And that uniqueness, as much as we want to feel that, is what separates us from others. And so here you see more of the flow. And also, the number on this card is 3. And remember, 3s mean ascended masters, that higher knowledge, those that have, like Jesus or Buddha, they are kind of showing us the way, because they've lived on earth. They've been in the gray. And they've also ended up in doing things from the heart space. The next card will be the challenge. What is our challenge during this time? Besides the fact we're living between two worlds, what is our challenge? Like, once we admit this challenge, recognize it, don't resist it, and just accept it. It doesn't mean that there is a right or wrong way through the challenge, but accept this is our challenge. That's why we're going through this right now. We will get closer to the goal. And that is Unfinished Symphony. And so our challenge is to realize we've been caught in this between two worlds for a long time. Probably our whole lives, most of us. And, where we'd like it in our heart space, but we know that doesn't make logical sense. And so our challenge is to understand that the reason we are caught in between these two worlds is it's just an unfinished symphony. It's an unfinished story. And that we just got to finish it out. I'm not going to tell you there's a right or wrong way or even how, but it's just time to be aware when we feel uncertain that the old way isn't working as well as it did before, and we're kind of leaning towards the other way, but we don't really feel comfortable, that you're just in a symphony. And remember, an unfinished symphony and symphonic movements are, you have the rise, then you have the crescendo, you have the diminuendo, or the downside, and then you have the fine. And I can't tell you if I think we've hit the crescendo. We're now in the what we call the diminuendo, going down towards the fine. And people don't, we love the rise, right? We feel better. And we're in the crescendo, the crises, so to speak. And But when we get past that crisis, it starts feeling like something's missing. It doesn't feel as fun as the crescendo or the rising, and I forget what the rising movement is called. Ascendant window, I don't know, I forget. But we have to realize that when it's kind of that time when there's peace butchie, there's no big drama, almost like a resting period, is to give us a rest from the crescendo. Is to kind of put all the pieces that we have created rising up and through the crescendo, kind of let the dust fall into place so we know what the end is. The foundation of this, why we're going through this now, is basically, I just pull a card, and the foundation is, and when I look at this, I first see exchanging gifts. But what that means to me is the reason we're going through this is due to this separation, we've kept our gifts to ourselves or been very selective of who we're going to share our gifts with. We build up our wall. We build up that static gray between us. No one gets to know us except, and I need to say to people say, I'm only going to love this person, or I'm only going to give this person part of me, talk to them or forgive them or whatever because they're in my family, but I'm going to exclude others. So that makes us feel special, our tribe or me. Guess what? That doesn't work. All you've done is done more separation. And what you can see with this pink means unconditional love. And I don't mean the unconditional love between me and another human, but the unconditional love of spirit with us, that co-love that is, it's usually felt right in like the Adam's apple area, where you feel totally accepted, totally supported, and it isn't necessarily judged, where then you feel free to exchange gifts. You're supposed to. That is the purpose. But the foundations, we all are very gifted, but those gifts are not to be withheld from anyone, because when you withhold from one, you've withheld from everyone. It's a collective. The past, what created this, and it was probably the separation. And again, this one's coming upside down, so that's protection. So what that means is we've slept through it, right? We've taken a nap. We've what would I say? Been in denial. The best way to say it. We knew that kind of, but we've been in denial. We don't like it, so we don't want to really deal with it. So we go in denial. I don't want to say run away, but we just close our eyes to it. That we have separated ourselves or our families. We become very clannish. That is the best way for me to say it. In our clans, and I think a lot of it's due to the pandemic, we made these little bubbles. These very, most of the time it's been with maybe, our initial birth family, or our married family, the one we created. But it's become very small, right? And now it's time to expand that bubble and share our gifts. However, we can't do it the way we did it before. In other words, we thought that we, whether we were going into large groups, that kind of thing, we're going to have to find people that are willing to share their special gifts, and it maybe will be via Zoom. It'll be more in an intimate group setting, so that in that intimate group setting we feel trust and support, so then we can go out in the world with them. The highest outcome is the never-ending story. And I know I don't like that because what that means is we're kind of caught in a pattern. We're just saying the same story. And that's okay in this instance for this week because we're still learning. We're still trying to feel comfortable going from one world to the other. So we're just in a storyline. In the story, you'll see the beginning and end seems to be one and the same. For this week, that's okay. It's not, don't try to change that. Don't try to be comfortable. The number one thing we need to learn to be is uncomfortable with the uncomfortable, comfortable with not knowing, comfortable with uncomfortable feelings, comfortable with uncomfortable situations. And that's the never-ending story. It's hard. And so we're just learning step by baby step how to do it to get a little bit out of that pattern, one little step at a time. What's next around the corner? This week is poised. We're poised. We're poising ourselves. And I think that all goes with these cards. I'm going to spread them out a little of what we saw today. Is we're getting poised for something different. I always call it the training ground. And it's almost like an intentional standstill. And people don't like that. It's uncomfortable. They always want to keep moving ahead and moving ahead. But we're just getting poised for the next chapter. Again, going back to that diminuendo. Just getting poised for the fine. The events for the week are mending. This is upside down. You're going to have a tendency to want to make things better. Step out, like maybe you've hurt someone's feelings. Because we're going back to this. I want to exchange gifts, and I see all these cards, so I want to make amends. They're protecting you. Don't do that. Not because you shouldn't do it. It's just right now, the dust. Again, let's go back to the diminuendo that was going on. The time for a nap. Is the dust is just settling. Give the dust settling. Don't try to mend. Don't try to change. Don't try to resist. Just accept it at its terms right now. And you're going to have situations where you're going to feel you're going to have to apologize. Not that you shouldn't apologize, but the apology may be making the situation worse. Is because that person's not ready for it. Is just let the dust settle. It's the best way to say it. The other one is, and that goes in, when you do let the dust settle, you feel uncomfortable because you want to do. You just want to do. You want to act. You want to make it better. Well, this is saying no place like home is protecting you. It's just saying you're going to feel uncomfortable. Just be aware of that. Discomfort. And again, the training is all about to be uncomfortable in discomfort. Next one is love, loyal heart. And the reason is to let the dust settle and a little discomfort is that you will find, there's two people. When we just be ourselves and we react, and I'm not saying be mean or cruel or things like that, but sometimes we just say things we shouldn't say. And we don't say intentionally, we just are human, okay? But a lot of times, and we may write that email that isn't as sensitive as it should be. We just say I'll be there in 10 minutes, and it'll look like it's abrupt and too blunt and too direct. The other person may take that wrong. A lot of sensitivity is going on in the world. And that's okay, because that's part of what's supposed to be happening, to go back to the pink, right? The unconditional love, the sensitivities are coming up in everyone. So people are hypersensitive. But one thing, when, let's say we're blunt in our email, what may come out of the dust while it's settling, is someone else who's a little blunt, who says, you know what, I will be at that meeting. Thanks for making it very succinct. So you'll get a different, your tribe people, right now, the people that will help support you during this time will start appearing. And they won't be from the tribe that you have now. It's not that saying that you'll lose them, it'll just be different. And if you just sit back, don't try to mend, just let the dust settle, let yourself just say, it's uncomfortable, and not try to analyze it. What I call it is stay. It's a process of staying, just staying with it, just staying with the discomfort. A sense of peace comes. So those are your cards for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, feel free to email me through Facebook or Instagram. And thank you.